Excellent. So, hi everybody. Welcome to today's Q&A. We are ready to get started. People are still joining every minute, but that's okay. I can let them in and talk at the same time because I am a master of multitasking. So, I'm taking questions predominantly, first of all, from the Ask Him Constable tab inside the Sculpted Menopause app. I will also check, in fact, I'll do this now before I start. I will check the Extreme Menopause Body Makeover group as well for questions there, because every week we post a graphic in there just to check and see, do any, we've never actually updated the I've never updated the header in there. I feel bad. It's still for the Sculpt challenge. So there is a comment in there. Oh, the only comment is me. Only comment is me tagging everybody. So nothing in the Extreme Menopause Body Makeover group, but lots of questions here in the Ask Him Constable group inside the Sculpted Menopause app. So yay, let's get started from there. Make sure there's no one else in the waiting room. No, we're all good. Excellent. Okay, welcome everybody. Let's get going with the questions. So we have Angela is asking the first question, and Angela says, "Hi Kim, I was doing a little reading this morning and I'm a little confused, so hoping you can help." Well, I am hoping that I can help as well, Angela. I was reading about high intensity interval training, low intensity steady state cardio, and SIT for fat loss. I understand the LISS cardio, but I can't seem to understand the difference between HIIT and SIT. Okay, so I'm guessing that by SIT she means sprint interval training by that definition. I'm 57 next month, and from what I read, SIT is very beneficial for fat loss for women post-menopause. I'm currently enjoying your Sculpt program and about to do my low-intensity steady state outdoors as power walks, as well as the occasional HIIT training. Okay, so let me answer this question. So here's the thing, Angela, about cardio. There's always so many questions about cardio. And the answer that I'm going to give here is going to be the answer that I give all the time, unfortunately. So everybody here who has been following me for a long time will pretty much be able to predict what I'm going to say. So what I'm going to say is that there's so much information available these days on the internet about types of cardio, types of training, types of supplements, types of everything. And years ago, we weren't privy to this information. This information just was not available. People, if they wanted to achieve a goal, they went and found someone who was an expert in that goal and they said, "How did you do it?" And the person told them how they did it. And then they went and did what that person did. And quite often then they got the results. Okay. Or you could buy books and you could get information from books, but there really wasn't a lot of information available. Certainly there wasn't information available the way there is at the minute. Google didn't exist. I mean, I think we're all old enough here to remember before Google existed. And you know, if you wanted to get information, you just had to go and ask someone who was an expert in the subject, or you could go and get an encyclopedia. Remember, like the Great Britannia encyclopedias? Like, so if you wanted to like get some information, that's where you went for your information. And what I have found is that the plethora of information that is now available on the internet, especially in 60-second videos on social media, is confusing the heck out of people, because it's taking one data point and making it and explaining the nuances of one tiny data point, and then people take that as gospel. And so the reason why I'm kind of going down this avenue to answer this question is because it does apply to cardio as well. Cardio is for fat loss and strength training is for building muscle. Cardio, the goal of cardio is to raise your heart rate enough that it has to beat faster and pump blood around your body to your muscles and tissues in order to sustain the level of activity that you're doing. So cardio basically creates a calorie expenditure on the body, because if you are increasing the rate at which your body has to burn calories, and we do this by walking, we do this by, you know, moving around, we do this by training, we do this by doing cardio. If you have to increase the calorie expenditure that your body must make in order to move your body, the faster you move, the more calorie it requires. That is considered cardio. So cardio is anything that keeps your heart rate consistently high. Now, we also know that to be the fat burning zone. The fat burning zone is where your heart rate goes high enough that your body stops burning muscle glycogen as its primary fuel source and recognizes that if it continues to burn muscle glycogen at the rate that it is burning it whenever you first start doing cardio, that it will very quickly run out of muscle glycogen. And what if a tiger jumps out at you behind a tree, or a great big grizzly bear, and you have to run for your life? Your body does not know that we live in towns and cities and drive in cars and are not encountering grizzly bears every day jumping out from behind trees unless you live, on a ranch in Montana. So your body is constantly primed for the tiger to jump out at you, for the bear to jump out at you, for the fight or flight mechanism that will be necessary to pump blood to your muscles, gear them up for you to run or fight. So as soon as you start to put an energy expenditure on your body, which is over and above kind of moving around, walking, sitting, talking, driving, all that kind of stuff, your body immediately starts to burn muscle glycogen first and foremost. It's its primary fuel source. Your body doesn't want to burn fat as its primary fuel source because fat is necessary to keep you alive. So let's say there's a food shortage, which your body is always primed for because years ago in primitive times, we didn't have constant access to food. So your body recognizes that human beings are berry pickers actually by tree it, if you like. And so it recognizes that sometimes there will be a lot of food if we are in a season of plenty, and then other times there won't be very much food. So your body has this really beautiful mechanism of holding on to fat stores, because fat stores will keep you alive because it can burn fat stores as energy to keep you alive if it needs to. So your body will never use fat as its primary energy expenditure, first and foremost, because those fat stores keep you alive. However, what happens is you start to do cardio, your body starts to burn off muscle glycogen, starts to burn off glycogen in your liver. And then very quickly, after about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how intense the cardio is, the body goes, okay, this is continuing longer than just, moving around. It's not like she just got out of bed, had a shower, brushed her teeth, dried her hair. That we're now, the energy expenditure required of us, if we continue at this rate, is actually going to completely deplete us of glycogen. It's not going to be good for muscles. We're going to have lactic acid buildup. So therefore, we actually need to switch to our secondary energy source, which is burning fat. So your body will only switch over to burning fat after a period of time once your heart rate reaches a certain level. And that is then considered the fat burning zone. So once you go into the fat burning zone, that's when your body switches over to burning fat. So we always want to be in the fat burning zone whenever we're doing cardio. Which leads me very nicely onto my second point. All types of cardio push you into the fat burning zone. Doesn't matter if you're sprinting, walking, running, jogging, Stairmaster, swimming, arm bicycle, Zumba class, whatever. All types of cardio, if you are doing them intensely enough with enough effort, will push you over into the fat burning zone and will cause your body to burn fat. So the tried and tested method for years and years and years and years before the advent of social media was, if you want to burn fat, you eat a little less and you move a little more. That was it, right? It's tried and tested over long time. Eat a little less, move a little more. Calories in versus calories out, your body will burn body fat. If you were a professional bodybuilder, or you were aiming to be a professional bodybuilder and you wanted to do a show, you would go to a trainer in the gym and you would say, you look pretty ripped. Can you please tell me how you did that? And they would say, okay, here's what you have to do. You need to show up at the gym 5 days a week. You need to train chest and triceps on a Monday, legs on Tuesday, back on a Wednesday, shoulders and biceps on a Thursday, glutes and hams on a Friday. You need to eat X amount of calories. You need to take creatine before you work out, Vitargo after you work out. Be good if you had BCAAs as well. And then 14 to 16 weeks out from your show, you start at, whatever calories you're on now, 2,400 calories, and then you gradually reduce your calories, 50 calories a week, until you're absolutely shredded, and then you step on stage and you're like a little scribe, like writing all this down because there's no phones, right? So to record it. So you're writing it all down and there's your plan. And you know what you did? You followed the plan. You didn't go, okay, that's fantastic. This guy's ripped and shredded and muscular and he's given me his plan for it. But you know what? There's Dave over there in the corner. I'm just going to go and ask Dave, right, what Dave did. And then you go to Dave and you say, Dave, so you're pretty ripped. So what did you do, Dave? And so Dave would say, well, here's what I did. And if Dave's plan was slightly different to Bob's plan, who you went to first, you that would have just been confusing. And then let's say you went to Dave, right? And then you were like, oh, well, there's like Colin over there as well. And Colin, he's pretty good. Let me just go and ask Colin, right, what he did. So imagine if you went to you went to Bob, and then you went to Dave, and then you went to Colin. And imagine they gave you the similar kind of advice, but all different things. You'd be totally confused, right? Oh my God, who do I listen to? Like, whose plan is the best? And Bob would be like, well, my plan's the best. And Colin would say, well, my plan is the best, because honestly, you should be sprinting. And Colin would be like, absolutely not. I've never sprinted. All you need to do is walk. And then you went back to Dave, or I can't remember their names anymore. And he said, well, actually, no, it's fine. I do walking on the weekend, sprinting on the weekend. You'd be like, oh my God, which one should I do? Which one will give me best results? The honest to God's answer is all of them will. All of them, Dave's plan, Bob's plan, and Colin's plan, will all give you the same results, because all of them stand on stage, all of them get shredded, all of them lose body fat. One of them only walks, one of them only runs, and one of them does a combination of walking and running. Which one is best? None of them. None of them is best for you. The one that will be best for you will be the one that appeals to you the most, that you will follow consistently. So if you're like, well, I love running, you're gonna love Bob's plan. If you're like, oh my God, running and me, not a good mix. Hate running. Love walking. Have like 10 dogs. Great. Well, you're gonna love Colin's plan. Okay. And if you're like, can't stand running, can't stand walking, but like, oh my God, I have to choose the lesser of two evils, well, maybe you'll choose Dave's plan, right? Which was a mixture of walking and running. Because you're like, I'm the kind of person, I need to switch it up, right? I hate doing the same thing every day. I need to be entertained a little more. I need to have a little bit of excitement. I need to be doing different things every day to keep me motivated. Well, maybe you're going to do Dave's plan, which has a mixture of walking, running, swimming, and biking. Okay. You're going to be like, Dave's plan sounds like the plan for me. The problem with social media is everyone's an authority. So we hear online, menopausal women should only be doing this, and menopausal women should only be doing that. And these people are taking these snapshots of a menopausal woman, and half of them are not even bodybuilders. They're not even fucking trainers, right? They haven't a clue, or they've taken like a snapshot of a menopausal woman who, sometimes menopausal women have issues where their cortisol levels can raise slightly. Okay. So they take this fact over here. By the way, a lot of people don't know that the reason why your cortisol levels raise in menopause is because your adrenals can produce estrogen. Very small amounts of estrogen, but your body, once your ovaries stop producing estrogen, try to create estrogen in other areas. So what they do is your adrenals go into overdrive because they're trying to create estrogen, and then your metabolically active fat stores, which are, estrogen powerhouses in your stomach, go into overdrive trying to create estrogen as well. So that's why that happens. So anyway, women today, people take two data points. Women in menopause can have higher cortisol levels. And then they go, cortisol can be spiked through high intensity training. And then they put those together, and that equals women in menopause should not do high intensity training. These two data points generally have never been tested together. They've never taken a cohort of 100 women and made them do high intensity training. First of all, tested all their cortisol levels. So they've never taken a cohort that I know of, and I've seen the studies, I've looked for the studies, they've never taken a cohort of women who are menopausal, tested their cortisol levels, and then put one of them on a high intensity protocol, one of them on a low intensity protocol, and one of them on zero protocol as the placebo group. They've never done this and then tested, are their theories true in reality? So whenever I hear a theory online, what I do is I look for the study or the science behind what is causing that theory, if there is one. And then once I find the study or the science behind it, then I look for who paid for the study. It's very important. There was a lot of studies, scientific studies released, right, that really were not like the gold standard of scientific studies, just to say that tofu they tried to create a link between tofu and breast cancer, saying that tofu causes your body to produce more estrogen, which is really bad for breast cancer. The studies were incomplete. They were not accurate. And then guess who funded them? The meat industry. So if you go underneath and you're like, who would stand to gain from these studies showing that, tofu is bad for you? You always have to look at follow the money. Who's funding the studies? So people evaluate data in different ways. Most people, no one here on this call, right? Because you're now part of the Kim Constable tribe. So I'm teaching you how to evaluate data correctly. Most people see something on social media, seed oils are bad for you, and they go, oh my God, seed oils are bad for you. No idea why, what a seed oil is, know nothing about hydrogenated fats. I talked to us all about this yesterday, or hydrogen atoms. They know nothing about seed oils. They just hear seed oils are bad. Everybody starts parroting it because they get more likes and shares because everyone's paying attention to the seed oils are bad, epidemic. And then everybody starts avoiding seed oils. Kim hears seed oils are bad. Now, Kim has a lot of data on oils, which contradicted that anyway in the first place. But I would go, well, who says seed oils are bad? And I start then digging, I go a layer deeper. Like, why are seed oils bad? And then I go a layer deeper. Well, is there a scientific study to show that seed oils are bad? And then I go a layer deeper. Are they bad for everyone? Are they bad in their raw form, in their cooked form? Are they bad if they're like, what are the nuances of the blanket overreaching seed oils are bad? So with the blanket overreaching, women in menopause should do this or should do that. You have to go deeper into the research and into the studies to be able to make an opinion for yourself. But let me just tell you the tried and tested thing that I have found. Number one, ignore 99.999% of what you see on TikTok. Ignore it because it's one tiny data point, usually given by someone who does not know what they're talking about. Now, even if they do know what they're talking about, you're getting one data point in a massive bigger picture. And what I have learned through 10 years of coaching women in this company and 25 years of research into the human body is that what works for fat loss for anyone is if you find a type of cardio that you enjoy doing and you do it consistently. Now, when I say enjoy, I mean tolerate. I mean, who actually enjoys doing cardio? Now, when I ride my horses competitively, that is considered cardio. And genuinely, I actually do enjoy it. So maybe you could say that. But cardio is something that where you go and do it for a period of time with your heart rate in a consistent fat burning zone. And you start at a certain time and you finish at a certain time. And then if you want to increase your fat burning, you maybe add 5 minutes on, or you increase the heart rate a little more. This is true for every single person on this earth, whether you are menopausal, whether you are premenopausal, postmenopausal, perimenopausal, whether you are male, female, young, old. There is no one best type of cardio. The best type of cardio is the cardio that you will do consistently, that you will show up to do in the fat burning zone. And the only variables that you should be considering are, is my heart rate in the fat burning zone? How do you work this out? Well, it's 220 minus your age, 220 minus your age, multiplied by 70%. So let's say you said, Angela, you are 57. So 220 minus 57 equals 163, right? That's your max heart rate. That's when if your heart rate's at 163, you are working your ass off. Multiply that by 70%, multiply it by 0.7. 114 is the minimum heart rate that you should be at for fat burning. So if you're at over that, that's great. If you're at around 130, perfect. 120, perfect. Okay? That's where your heart rate should be for you to be burning fat. As long as your heart rate is over 114, you're in the fat burning zone, and your body, scientifically proven through the laws of time and science, will burn body fat. So I don't believe any of the menopausal women should and menopausal women shouldn't. The menopause movement is massive at the minute, and everybody is jumping on it, and everyone has an opinion about it. Listen, me too. I started the Sculpted Menopause app. Like, I am not judging anyone for jumping on it, but I also don't ever come out and say women in menopause should do this or women in menopause should do that. Never. I am like, if you're eating, if you're not following a macro and calorie controlled diet, then eating by the menopause principles that are of which are high fiber, high protein, I have found for my hundreds and thousands of members have gotten really good results. Oh, but Kim, I don't like beans and lentils. No problem at all. Don't eat them. Just eat white starchy carbs. Just eat lower amounts of them and understand that this will probably be the results. I'm not like, this is what women in menopause should do. You love following the macros and calories? Great, do it. You don't want to follow macros and calories? Great, don't do it. You love doing running? Great, run. You love swimming? Swim. You love walking? Walk. You love training with dumbbells? Great. You love going to the gym? Fantastic. You want to do body pump? Amazing. You love doing high rocks? Fantastic. It's whatever you will do that strengthens your muscles and gets your heart rate high and keeps you consistent on a diet. That is what gets results. So I'm banging on and on and on and on and on about this. And I'll keep beating the drum and beating the drum until women hear the message, which is consistency wins over perfection every single time. So maybe in this particular moment, for this particular menopausal woman, doing some kind of interval training or high intensity training would be better. But better for what? Or like maybe in this snapshot of a moment, this will lower her cortisol or raise her cortisol or whatever. But will that be true over the test of time? Probably not, because over the test of time, all these little variables don't matter. What matters is, did you show up and do your cardio? Did you show up and do your strength training? Did you track your macros and calories? If you do that for a very inordinately long and boring amount of time, you will have a different body. But you're not going to have it in a month, and you're not going to have it in 8 weeks, and you're not going to have it in 3 months. You'll have it in a year, 2 years, 3 years. You'll have a different body. In 1 year, you'll look in yourself in the mirror and go, wow, I've changed. In 2 years, you'll say, goodness, I've really changed. In 3 years, you'll say, okay, now I have a different body. In 4 years, you'll have a different body again. In 5 years, you'll have a different body. In 10 years, your body will be completely different to what it was. And I know now because I'm in my 10th year of training in the gym, and my body is completely different to it was whenever I first started. My face is completely different too, thanks to the really good aesthetics nurse that I have. But that's a story for another day. So you can transform your body, but it takes a stupidly, painfully long period of time. And there is no quick fix. There is no, this is best for me. This is the best cardio to do. This is the best training to do. There is no best. There is very much best for me, right? I love intermittent fasting. Great. You do it. Do I agree with intermittent fasting? No, I can think of nothing worse than not eating until lunchtime. Would not work for me in my life. So it would make me miserable. I wouldn't even want to train. And is that better then? Is it better? Like, so let's say it's better for fat loss. Well, if it makes me not want to train and do my cardio, is that better? No, that's actually causing a negative reaction. See what I'm saying? So, Angela, the answer to your question is there is no best that you're saying. From what I've read, SIT, which is sprint interval training, is very beneficial for fat loss in women post-menopause. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, but I'm sure it's not just beneficial for postmenopausal women. I'm sure it's beneficial for everybody, because when you're sprinting, your heart rate is going through the roof, right? And you're working your muscles and you're, strengthening your legs. I'm sure it is very beneficial for menopausal women, but not specifically for menopausal women. It's beneficial for everybody that has decent knees. And if you don't, then I can't imagine it would be beneficial. I think everybody should sprint. My husband read this study recently, and he said something like, there was over a certain age, like a certain percentage of people over an age will never sprint again in their lives. And it really made me think, like, when was the last time I sprinted? And I mean, like, properly sprinted, like really took off at as fast a run as I could possibly take off at. I think it's been a lot of years. Like, I can't remember the last time. And he read this study said, like, we should be sprinting. We should be sprinting, not just for the heart benefits, for the body benefits, for, I'm not sure my knees would hold up to it anymore, but, so we should be sprinting. And it actually just made me think, like, it's funny how we don't sprint anymore. We just get out of that from whenever we're kids, same as, squatting and, squatting down on the ground and whatever. So that is my very long-winded answer to your cardio. And I'm going to keep banging this drum until the good message finally gets out there. Consistency beats perfection every single time. There is no one best way to do anything. The best way is the way that works for you, that keeps your heart rate in the fat burning zone, and that keeps you consistent for a stupidly, painfully long period of time. Painfully, is that a word? It is. Stupidly painful long period of time. I'm trying to really get across, like, the feeling of how hard the period of time is that you have to work for to transform your body. It is so much longer than you would ever think or want it to be. And that's to make you feel better, not worse, by the way. Okay, great question. Next, Lisa S. I signed up for butt camp. Just a quick FYI, the links for dumbbells and booty bands are the wrong way around. Oh, thanks, Lisa. I will tell Natasha that, and she can get that fixed. I think that it must have just been an error in the transference of data whenever the PDFs was being done. So thank you so much for the heads up. Laurie Fangman, would you consider doing a masterclass for the app? Not at the minute, Laurie. It doesn't really fit with the app at the minute. I think that with what we have with what we have done, the app for menopausal women is what the way we have made it out, which is the training and the challenges and the Zoom calls. I don't want to start getting into kind of masterclasses and things for it, because it 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 just segues off into an area that I'm just not able to service at the minute. Never say never. It might be something that we would do in the future. But the other thing that I found about the masterclasses, and so in the past, for those of you who don't know, what we have done is we've done masterclasses where they've either been a one-off masterclass where I take a subject and I break it down and I talk about it for, a long period of time. Or I do like 3, 4, or 5 day masterclasses. So I run like a masterclass series where I do like sometimes like 2-hour modules per day for 5 days. The problem with the master classes is there's such a commitment of time that they require an extraordinary amount of time, effort, and planning from me, but not very many members actually ever show up and watch them. So we had this thing where it's funny, I know what works and what doesn't work from years and years and years of running this company. And whenever Laura started writing programs, Laura, the director of training, many of you will know, whenever she started writing programs and really becoming much more involved in the creation of the programs, the writing of the programs, she said to me, Kim, self-sabotage. The women, they're constantly self-sabotaging. It's a big question. They're always asking in the group, how can I overcome self-sabotage? How can I overcome self-sabotage? We have to do something on self-sabotage. And I said, Laura, self-sabotage has never, people think it's a problem. And it is a problem, but it isn't something people are driven to fix. And she said, no, I think you're wrong. And I said, no, I know I'm not wrong, because I've been running this company for a long time. And anytime I've ever sold masterclasses or I've ever run masterclasses, they aren't something people think they want them. But whenever it comes to actually committing the time and the money to the masterclass, they don't show up. So she said, I really think you're wrong. This is something that happens in the group. They're constantly asking in the groups. It's a big problem. It's always coming up in my Zoom coaching calls. The members are asking for help with self-sabotage. I think we need to create a self-sabotage masterclass. And I said, okay, I know that you're wrong, but I am willing to be wrong. I am almost 90% that you're wrong, but I love being wrong. And if you're right about this and we make loads of cash and this helps loads of women, then I would love to be wrong on this. So let's do it. She was like, great. She got so excited about it. And so we did an entire launch, which takes a huge amount of effort and bandwidth from the team. We created the sales page. I recorded the content. In fact, it was live. I taught it live. So I was going to be live every day, which I thought would be really attractive to people to show up and watch it live. And we did an entire, launch, whatever, put it all together, opened it, and we ended up selling. Now, in a launch for a challenge, a butt camp challenge, for example, we would sell about 1,000 programs in the first day. So we would end up usually selling 2,500 to 3,000 programs in a 2-week period. So we end up making for the company gross revenue before any costs are taken out. We would normally end up making $250,000 roughly, $250,000 to $300,000 per launch. Now, at the time, the company was costing me a huge amount to run. It was costing me about $150,000 a month to run. So it was an enormous amount of money. So if we did a launch, the launch had to be worthwhile. So because, I couldn't do a launch that wasn't at least going to bring in a month to 3 months cash flow. Even a month's cash flow wasn't enough. If I did a launch, any kind of launch, it had to make $300,000 to $500,000, because that would have then, stabilized cash flow for 3 to 4 months. So and whenever you do one launch, you have a period where you can't launch again to your list. So I can't launch to you guys. Like, we're launching Butt Camp at the minute. I couldn't, like, a week after Butt Camp starts, launch something else, because everyone would be like, oh, hang on a second. We all just bought Butt Camp and now you have this other thing. So there's a time period between launches. So when we do a launch, it has to be a launch. So we went ahead and we did the self-sabotage series, and we sold, I think, 320 of them in total. So we made $32,000. It was like a spectacular flop. But I still went ahead and taught it anyway. Of course, like, everyone had committed. I wasn't going to not do it. But it was a huge amount of investment of time. I think I taught it over, I think it was 4 days maybe. I can't remember exactly. You'll probably know because I know you've done it, Laurie. But it was a spectacular amount of time, effort, and planning from me. And we made $32,000. And Laura was like, I was convinced. I was like, I know you were convinced, but I knew that women wouldn't want it, because women think they want to overcome self-sabotage. But whenever you say, okay, what you have to do now is show up every day for an hour or 2 hours and commit to learning, and then you have to do your homework and you have to do work, they're like, ah, it's too much work. We are very, very interested in earning cash and being thin. People want to be thin and rich. If you promise them thin and rich, they will put their money on the line. You promise them that if after this series, you're going to be in a better position to build a better life. That's not immediate enough for people. We want fast results. We want them now. We want to be thin and rich in 8 weeks, at least. And if I can't be rich, at least make me thin, right? But they don't want to have to put in the work and it's not a judgment, by the way. It's very hard. Like, I get it. But so that's what happened with the butt camp. That's what happened with the self-sabotage series, the masterclass series. And so I really stopped investing a lot of money in the masterclass series. I ran one for menopause before, and I did like the menopause series. It was the same thing. I think we did sell more of them. I think we sold about 1,000 of them, and it was maybe like $100,000 we brought in for the company. But again, like for a launch, for us to cannibalize a launch period for $100,000 with the amount that it cost to run my company, wasn't enough money. So I know that you're saying to do a masterclass series inside the app, and that would be part of the subscription of the app, and I totally get it. But with the amount of time, energy, planning that it takes to even do a masterclass series for the app, it's just not at the minute where my time, energy, and effort is best spent. And not because it wouldn't be because I'm not willing to support the members of the app, but because not enough people would do it. And that's the bottom line. You, Laurie, are very into growth at the minute. I can see from all your posts, I can see from, how you talk in the groups and stuff. You've reached a stage where you have had a perspective shift, where you recognize that, a lot of your future success is going to come from personal development, personal growth. And so you're investing a lot of time in growing personally, growing, emotionally, and understanding that then manifests physically. Most of the world isn't there yet. Most of the women who join my programs don't understand that in order to be successful in life, you must work on your emotional strength first. There's a great quote by a friend of mine, and he says, knowing what to do is useless without the emotional strength to do what you know. That's why I have always focused on emotional strength. I've always had a coach. I've always worked on my limitations, my emotional limitations. And it's why I've been so successful in life, because one of the things that I have realized is that I can know what I should do, but if I don't have the emotional strength to do it because I'm fearful or angry or something's holding me back, knowing what I need to do is completely useless, because everyone knows what they need to do to transform their body. They need to go to the gym consistently or lift dumbbells consistently. They need to do cardio consistently. They need to track macros and calories consistently. They need to stop eating crap consistently. Everybody knows what they need to do. I am not teaching anything new. But most people don't have the emotional strength to do it. We don't have the emotional strength to get out of bed in the morning. Again, no judgment, just observation. I am also one of these people in many ways, which is why I have been working on this for many years. In order to get out of bed in the morning, you need to dig deep and get the emotional strength. In order to say no to the sweet foods that you love, you have to develop emotional strength. A lot of us have a lot of Pavlovian links between eating and, we use food to cover up our emotions. I feel bad and I'm used to reaching for food, right? To cover up that emotion, to make myself feel better. And so we have these Pavlovian links, which have been downloaded to us as children, unless we ever go back and visit them and take them all apart and find them and dig into them and feel how awful they are. Like we never get past them. And for a lot of people, that's just too scary and too hard and too emotional. And, so we all buy the dream. We buy the butt camp with the amazing glutes and the incredibly easy to follow meal plan and the $30,000 prize fund. And in the moment that makes us feel so good. And we buy the dream. And then we look at the work. Oh shit, I have to show up 5 days a week and train and 30 minutes cardio 6 days a week. I have to actually prep food on a Sunday and I have to fit all this in around my busy life. And then the reality of it comes crashing in, and then the dream disappears, and the reality of, being tired and hungry and whatever becomes a reality. And so that's why many people fall off the wagon, and then they buy the next dream. And that's the only reason why my company is successful. I sell the dream. And I always said, if people actually achieved their goals, I would go out of business. So this has gone way off on a tangent, but I love having these like tangents, these tangent talks. I think they're so important, but because I always use them as a teaching point. And actually, I was using something. It was actually the lovely Jennifer asked a question last week, and I used it as a teaching point. And then I think, God love her, I think she got a wee bit offended. And she was like, well, I felt very called out. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to call you out. It wasn't that at all. The question was amazing. And I used it to expand off into a teaching point. And so the teaching point that I'm giving you now from this question, which was one line, will you consider doing a masterclass for the app? I could have just said no and moved on. But I want to tell you what I've done now is I've expanded this into a teaching point so that all of you here and watching the replay and listening will understand that the reason why most people aren't successful is because they're just not willing to do either they're not willing to do the emotional work, or they don't even know that it's necessary. They don't know that the thing that's holding them back is them. The reason why they can't show up and do the hard thing is because they have some kind of emotional limitation holding them back. And the only way you'll ever overcome it is to instead of avoiding the emotional limitations, like, oh my God, I could never do that. You go ask yourself, well, why could I never do that? Why? Like most of us just go, oh my God, no, I could never do that. But we never actually ask why. Like, you're a human being. I'm a human being. She can do it. He can do it. Why can't I do it? What is it in me that's stopping me from doing that? What fear is holding this whole thing together? But we just go, oh my God, no, I'm going to avoid that. And that's why most of us stay broke and fat and stuck and in bad relationships. And, because we aren't willing to look at the things that are stopping us from moving forward. So the investment of time it would take me to hold a masterclass for the app wouldn't help enough people, not because I'm not a good enough teacher, but because enough people wouldn't actually show up and watch it. And that's the honest to God's truth. And I would love to be wrong, but I'm not. As I proved to Laura. She felt so bad about that. She was like, can't believe we only made $30,000. I was like, Laura, shit happens. Don't worry. We'll survive. And here I am, still living to tell the tale, still in business. Just no money joking. Okay, let's move on. Lorraine Russo Hardy. Kim, I want to ask about the new butt camp. Is it outside of the app? And if so, would I be able to let go of the app until the program is finished? I'm thinking of doing butt camp, but I won't be able to afford both. Lorraine, I can't answer that question because I don't know what plan you're on. So the best thing that you could do would be to reach out to customer service support at thesculptedmenopause.com and have a chat with customer service, and they'll be able to give you all of your options. Carolyn Biega. Hi, Kim. I love this app. Well, that's so nice to hear. When I started with Sculpt, my goal was to lose approximately 28 pounds to get me where I have loved the way I looked in the past and to gain muscle. That said, I've done all 3 challenges in the app since June. After Sculpt, I have maintained a diet of 1,550 calories a day, and I have lost 25 of the 28-pound goal I had set. Let's just all take a little moment to have a little, everyone's clapping. I wish you could see this, Carolyn. Maybe you're here. A little round of applause for Carolyn. It is not just phenomenal. Like, that is, Carolyn is using the app in the way that I designed for it to be used. Start, finish a program, start, finish a program, start, finish a program, stay consistent. And she is a shining example, as are many of you here, by the way. The ones who show up every single weekend, you know who you are. But this is a shining example of consistency winning every single time. Because I am sure since June, when she joined, Carolyn has not been 100% perfect. She has probably eaten off plan. She's had days where she didn't train, days where she didn't do cardio. But what she has been since June is consistent. And that is why she has lost 25 of the 28-pound goal. So let's go on to see what her question is. Now that I'm close to my goal, I don't look like I used to at this weight. Well, no, but your body's changed. So where do I go from here? Do I continue to shred and build muscle to replace the fat? I don't know. This is new territory for me. So Carolyn, this is such a great question. And this is what happens, right? It's funny. We have a goal. And this is what happens when you set a goal. You set a goal and you go, whenever I have this amount of money, I'm going to do this. Or when I have this amount of body fat, I'm going to look like this. Or in 3 months, if following this plan, I'm going to look like this. I remember whenever I first started bodybuilding, and I went to my trainer and I said to him, and I showed him a picture of a fitness model, Camille Pariat, who had been training clearly for 15 years. I did not know this at the time. And I was like, when I stand on stage next year, I want to look like this. And he was like, yeah, but you're never going to. And I was like, oh, but what? Why not? And he was like, because Kim, she's been training about 15 years. how do you know? Because I didn't realize that you get a lot of data as a trainer, right? And he was like, because I can tell by the amount of muscle she has and how she looks. You don't get that. You're not going to look like that for your first show. Not given the way you look now. Like what you're asking is a physical impossibility. And I remember feeling like, first of all, really defeated. And then I went, well, you know what? I'm going to show him. I am going to look like that. I'm going to be the person who defies all of the laws of science. I'm going to look like a 15-year trainer after a year. Did I? No. Do I now? Yes, I actually have more muscle than she does now. So I think it's important to have a goal, but quite often you can get there. And I did get there and I was like, oh, wow, I was so delusional. Like I was never going to look like Camille Perriette. So I think it's important to have a goal, but it's also important to understand that when you get there, you have to be flexible with it, because what you have is a hypothesis. Now you have a hypothesis based on data. You're like, when I was this body weight before, I looked this way. So you can pretty much assume that when you get to that body weight again, you're going to look that way again, right? But what you don't realize is you're probably older, you have more skin, you have more muscle, like you're not the same as you were. So it's a kind of different. It's like having your first child and having your fourth child, right? Whenever you have your first child, you're like, I'm going to be this kind of parent and I'm going to parent this way and it's going to be amazing. And then your first child comes and you realize that is just not possible with children. And then your fourth child comes and you're a completely different parent. I have 4 kids, so maybe you don't have 4 kids, but even with your second child, you're completely different, right? You could never be the same parent with your second child as you were with your first, because you have more experience, you have less fear, you have a different lifestyle. Like you parent each child differently because you are a different person when each child comes along. Exactly the same for weight loss and bodybuilding. So you think you're going to parent the second child the same as the first, but second children are little shits usually, right? They don't do anything they're told. They learn to push boundaries and they know that if they push hard enough, you're just going to give in eventually because you're too tired to fight them because you have another child to take care of. So completely different parenting, right? Same as achieving a body goal. You might say, whenever I get to this weight, I'm going to look like this. And then you get there like, shit, damn, I don't look like this. So what do, Carolyn? You set a new goal. You set a new goal. You look at your body now, you assess it, you take pictures, you study it, and you say, what am I not happy with and what am I happy with? What would I be happy to keep and what would I like to change? And be specific. This is what people do after bodybuilding shows. They look at their pictures on stage, they look at their physique, and they get feedback from the judges, and they say, okay, I want bigger glutes. In fact, I need bigger glutes. I need bigger quads. My back is good, so I don't need any more muscle in my back, don't need any more in my chest, but I would like to have a bigger shoulder cap. And so then they change their training, or they structure their training to work on those particular areas. They might add in more glute days. They might add in more shoulder exercises. They might taper off back a little bit or just keep back consistent. So they actually taper their plan based on what it is that they want. So I would look at your body and I would say, where would I like more muscle? What would I like to be bigger? What would I like to be smaller? And how can I then shape a plan which builds towards that? And it may be that you may just need more muscle all over your body. In that case, you would choose a workout like carve, and you would go back to carve, and you would work through it again, and you would continue to, build more muscle all over your body. And you would say, well, I'm going to do this for 4 weeks and then I'm going to reassess. Or you would say, well, I'm 3 pounds off my goal weight, so I'm going to stick at the 1550 calories until I get to my goal weight. And I'm going to see if I repeat carve and I continue to build more muscle on these particular calories, where I am again in 4 weeks. You have to be constantly setting new goals, constantly reassessing until you get your body where you want it to be. And then you can start to make tweaks. So my body is now at the point where it is where I want it to be. My body is literally so sensitive to tweaks that I make. It's insane. At the minute, I am so lean. And I am so lean. Everyone thinks it's Ozempic. It's not. I'm lean because I don't have time to eat. As you all know, I let my chef go a while ago. I don't know, you might know that, you might not know that. I let my chef go about 2 months ago because honestly, we just didn't need him anymore. It was getting to the point where he was paid an enormous salary, and I enjoy cooking. I wanted to do more cooking for the family. I wasn't as busy in work. My kids were starting to complain. Like my daughter loves to cook and she could never get into the kitchen because our kitchen was like a working kitchen. I had so many people in my house. I had my housekeeper, my chef, my weekend housekeeper, my staff were coming and going all the time. My house was like a circus. So I decided to pare everything back and kind of live more simply. Now, but the problem with Lee going was I had loads of time to cook whenever he went because I wasn't as busy. But now we're in the middle of a lunch. I have no fucking time to cook. So for the last month, I have been eating so few calories because I don't mind being hungry. I am one of these terrible people that can literally go eat in the morning and then not eat again until dinner time. And even though my stomach is gnawing with hunger, I just ignore it and I keep going. And that is so bad because eating is an inconvenience to me. I'm like, I like if there's food there, great. I'll hoof it into me. And if it's not, I'm not a foodie. I'm not like, oh, I just, I need to have a certain amount of food or certain things for lunch. If it's put in front of me and it's delicious, I'll eat it. And see if there's no food to be had, totally fine. So my problem was for this last, I would say since Lee left this last 2 months, I just haven't been prioritizing food. And I have literally, I don't know what my calories have been because I stopped tracking, but I am so lean. It's unbelievable. I'm like probably, I would say 2 weeks off stage condition currently. And why am I telling you this? Because my body is at a stage where I can tweak it so easily. I can go, okay, I've lost a lot of muscle in my back on purpose because none of my clothes were fitting anymore. And I love how my body looks now, but if I wanted to change my body, I would literally just change my training program. I love how I look at the minute. I'm so lean. I'm so, I fit into all my clothes. I look great in a bikini. I'm just like the happiest I've been in a long time with my body, but I do need to eat more because I don't want to lose any more weight. So I brought loads of food to the office today and put loads of it in the fridge. So I have loads of snacks, and food, obviously, not just snacks. And so my point is when you get your body to a stage where you go, I've good amount of muscle all over my body. I'm lean, relatively lean. You don't have to be like super lean like me. I'm probably 13% body fat at the minute. You could be like 18, 20% body fat, which is a good amount of, body fat to really see your muscle definition and feel lean and like you fit in clothes. I'm going to sneeze 1 second. Excuse me. So once you get to that stage, then you can start making tweaks. Then you can go, okay, bigger quads, let's go. So I'll get on a 6-month quad building program and still work other parts of my body. Or you might go, want bigger glutes. Like at the minute, I'm sacrificing a lot of upper body training because I'm just training glutes we're training upper body as well in butt camp, but every day is glute day. But I know at the end of it, I'm going to have the peachiest butt you've ever seen. So I'm willing to sacrifice upper body to build those glutes because that is what is necessary. So you start to be able to craft and shape and change what you do and change what you eat and how you train to tweak and change your body. But you have to get to the stage first where you have good amount of muscle all over your body. You have a low enough amount of body fat all over your body for you to be able to see, manipulate, and tweak the changes. And that just comes over time. That just comes over time. And over time, with consistency in building muscle, consistently eating low calories, which is what you need to do to burn fat. People are always like, oh, I've been on 1,500 calories for so long. Who cares? If you haven't reached your body goal, stay on the 1,500 calories. Will I not wreck my metabolism? No, because you're raising your metabolism through doing cardio and weight training. Weight training and building muscle raises your metabolism. Can you build muscle on 1,500 calories? Yes, loads of it. So people want to change because they think, first of all, changing will get them better results. It won't. And they want to change because they get bored, right? And also we get fearful. I saw on TikTok that if women on low calories lose muscle, and it was a trainer that said it. Well, what I would advise that you do is delete TikTok. Okay. Delete TikTok. That's what I would recommend. So you need to get where you're going. So you're asking, what should I do? Where do I go from here? Keep going. Carolyn, set a new goal. Look at your body, print out your pictures or have them on your phone, assess them, look at them, set a new goal. That's what you need to do. That is what is going to keep you moving forward. Decide how you want to shape your body, decide how you want to change your body, and that will be the fastest and quickest way that you can build, that you can get where you want to go. Okay, Laurie, I see you have another question in here, but there's 2 other questions. Because I've already answered one from you, I'm going to jump into these questions first and I'll come back to yours at the end because I'm just conscious of time. So Shazinaz El Taruti is saying, hi, Kim, how do I determine the amount of or frequency of cardio I need to do on a daily basis? Or should I just include the cardio daily anyway? If so, on what basis do I determine cardio and length of time? So your goal, Shazinaz, your goal is what dictates your cardio. So it's like saying, how long will it take me to get to your house? Well, what would I say? Well, where are you coming from? Are you flying? Are you driving? Are you taking a boat? Like, how are you getting there? So if I couldn't tell you how long it would take me to get to my house if I didn't know where you were coming from. So you're saying to me, how much cardio should I do? Well, my question is, how much cardio for what? What's your goal? And you might be like, well, to lose body fat. Great. How much? I don't know. So, well, if you don't know, what do you want to look like? Oh, well, okay. Well, I want to look like this girl. Okay, great. Well, the cardio that you decide to do will determine, your plan will determine how you get here. So how much do you do? As much as you can do to get here, right? So if your goal is to burn body fat, the more cardio you do, the more body fat you will burn. So let's say you'll say, oh, okay, I can't do 2 hours a day. Okay, no problem. Well, what can you do? Can you do an hour a day? Oh, 6 days a week? No, that's too much. Great. Okay, could you do half an hour a day? Yeah, I could commit to half an hour a day. Half an hour a day, 6 days a week in your fat burning zone. Yes. Okay, do that. See how this works? So you can, if you do 2 hours of cardio a day, you're going to get to this body goal faster. But you're like, well, I couldn't do 2 hours cardio a day. So now you have to go back to and say, well, what could I do every day? And then that's what you do every day to get to your goal. But if you don't know where you're going, you don't know what your plan is going to be to get there. So what's your goal would be my question. And then you can determine how much cardio to do. And you keep your cardio consistent. How do you know if it's working? Well, you take progress pictures every week or every 2 weeks. And if after 2 weeks you're leaner with consistent calories and consistent cardio, great. You don't change anything. Take them another 2 weeks. If you're leaner again, consistent calories, consistent cardio, let's say 30 minutes of cardio, 6 days a week, 1,500 calories. Do that for another 2 weeks. If you're leaner again, great. Don't change anything. You only change when the plan that you're on doesn't work anymore. How do you know if it's working? Well, if your goal is to get leaner and you're getting leaner, it's working. That's like saying, that's like working every week. And let's say you start a business and you want to make more money. And I say, well, how much money do you want to make? And you're like, well, I want to make $100,000. I was like, okay, so, and I give you a plan. And I say, why don't you try and do this thing here and see how much money you can make? Great. So you start doing this thing and you realize you can make $5,000 a week. I'm like, fantastic. So your goal was to get to $100,000 and you're making $5,000 a week. So I would say to you, well, if you continue at this rate, you're going to have $100,000 in 20 weeks. You wouldn't say to me, well, how do I know it's working? How you know it's working is you're getting $5,000 in your bank account every week. That's how you know it's working. So that you know that, so then you calculate that out, $5,000 a week means if I continue at this pace, consistently doing this work to get this $5,000, I'm going to have $100,000 in 20 weeks. It's the same with your body goal. You're like, great, consistently eating 1,500 calories and doing 30 minutes of cardio 6 days a week means I'm losing a pound a week. You're like, well, I approximate I need to lose 20 pounds. So if I continue at this, my hypothesis is that in 20 weeks, I'll have lost 20 pounds. Great, let's keep going for 20 weeks. Then you're like, well, I want to lose it faster than that. Okay, well, then you need to do more cardio or eat less calories. Can you do that? Well, no, because I'm starving all the time and I have no more time. Okay, well, you're just going to have to be happy with the pound a week then. You see what I mean? Quite often what we want is something that isn't possible in reality. Well, I want more fat loss. Well, then you need to do more. But I don't have time to do more. Then be happy with what you've got. Right? You can't have more, do the same and have more. But unfortunately, that's what we want all the time. We want a different outcome than is possible because we want what is not possible in reality. And then we get upset because we can't have it, right? No one here, by the way, and definitely not me. I've never done this, but I have heard that there are other women in the world who have done this and expected more from the thing that they're doing and then been upset when they didn't get the results. I have no idea what it feels like, but if anyone here has heard of anyone else who's done that, you can let me know and then I can try on what it would feel like. Not speaking from experience at all, okay? Marie O'Neill. Hello, Mrs. Constable. Hello, Mrs. O'Neill. Or Miss O'Neill, potentially, I'm not sure. I'm determined to shred the fat I have been quietly working at. I'm determined to shred the fat and I've been quietly working at building muscle, training heavy and to failure. My question is this: can I stay at 1,200 calories following your eating plan for say about 8 weeks without plateauing? Or do I have to go up to say 1,400 for a week and then down to 1,200 after and just keep cycling up and down until I reach my target fitness and body composition? Hope that makes sense. Thank you for everything you do for us. Okay, who here can predict what Kim's answer is going to be? You're all like, yes, okay. Okay, so Marie, can you? I don't know. I do not have a crystal ball. So you will have to, so here's what I would advise. Stay at 1,200 calories for 8 weeks and see what happens. And if your goal is to lose, I'm determined to shred the fat you've said. Okay. So your goal is to lose body fat. So continue on at 1200 calories and the training you're doing and the cardio you're doing, and take weekly progress pictures. And if you're slowly moving towards your goal and you're shredding body fat every single week and you're doing it consistently, don't change. Like, again, we get caught in but I saw on TikTok that they said if you stay at low calories for too long, you will burn muscle tissue and your metabolism will downregulate and your fat loss will stall. So we want to, before that even happens to us, someone's ringing me. Before that even happens to us, we want to make a change, right? We want to go, well, maybe I should change something because I saw on TikTok that if I continue to do this, something bad will happen. The bad thing isn't happening to you, but you saw that it might happen. So we start to make changes and increase our calories based on what we saw on TikTok. It's so fucked up, right? Whereas I say, stay on the 1200 calories for like 3 to 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and see what happens. And if every week you're losing body fat, well, then you know TikTok was wrong, right? Not for you. You continue to build muscle and build body and burn body fat, and your metabolism was totally fine and you felt great. And you're like, well, clearly that maybe was true for some people, but it's not true for me. So that's what I would advise. Stay on the calories, stay on the cardio, stay on the training. If every week when you take your pictures, you look leaner than you were the week before, even a teeny tiny bit, and if it's more helpful to take photos every 2 weeks, do that. If you're standing on the scale and you're a pound lighter every week or half a pound lighter every week, and every single week you're half a pound lighter, might not be what you want. You might want to be 4 pounds lighter. But if you're a half a pound lighter every week and it's consistent every week, your plan is conducive to you losing half a pound a week. You want to lose more? Well, then you need to move more or eat less. And then you can hypothesize, I wonder what would happen if I added in an extra 30 minutes of cardio in the evening. So you do that for 2 weeks and you see, did your half a pound increase to a pound? If it did, bingo, you stay on the extra cardio and see the next week. Do you lose another pound? You do. Oh my God, bingo. So then do you see what I'm saying? You only change when what you're doing isn't working anymore. But the only way you'll know if it's working is by measurement. And the only way you'll actually get any data on the measurement is if you do it consistently every single week and measure every single week. And measurement is not how I feel. You don't look in the mirror and go, I feel fat. Okay. Your feelings do not count here. Your feelings are not accurate measurements. Okay. I look in the mirror and feel fat sometimes, and I have 13% body fat. And my husband goes, you are nuts. I go, do you think I've been on weight? And he's like, you're a stick insect. There's more meat on a butcher's pencil. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm having like a meltdown, right? I'm just having a melter day. Even I have them occasionally. So data is how we evaluate. And that's how you make decisions on whether you should change or not. Okay, last question here from Laurie. She says, confession, I am a Diet Coke addict, junkie. It is my one vice. I heard you touch on this yesterday. So can Diet Coke hinder weight loss? I've been drinking this for a long time, like really long. It's my go-to when life gets crazy. And I don't drink, and food is not a comfort for me. My MO is drinking Diet Coke and throwing stuff away. Before Sculpt, my diet consisted of peanut butter, M&Ms, and Coke, literally. So Laurie, what I'm going to say to you is, if you're still consistently losing body fat, consistently building muscle, and consistently moving towards your goals, and you're consistently drinking Diet Coke, then I don't see how taking Diet Coke out of the equation is going to make a difference, right? Like, do you see what I'm saying? So if someone was, really overweight and never trained and was just starting a whole new program and their metabolism was a bit shot and their insulin was all over the place and they were like a Diet Coke addict and they had zero data, then I would say maybe giving up Diet Coke would make a difference in the beginning. But if you've consistently been training, which I know you have, consistently been eating, a certain amount of calories, tracking, which I know you have, consistently doing cardio, which I know you have, and consistently drinking Diet Coke, and you're still moving towards your goals, which I know you are, I don't think taking Diet Coke out of it is going to do anything except rob you of joy. And the last thing that I want to do is rob you of joy. So if it's the crutch that's keeping you going, well, you keep that bad boy and you rock on because you're consistently moving towards your goal. And that is the most important thing. Only change when something you're doing isn't working. I've got a really itchy ear. Do you ever get like a really itchy ear and you can't scratch it? It's like right inside. That's what's happening to me. So so only change when something is not working. If it's all working, don't change. If it stops working, then you can maybe look at robbing yourself of joy, but I don't think it's necessary at this stage. Guys, I'm really sorry I didn't get to the questions in the chat. I saw quite a few of them coming up, but I kind of went long into all the answers. But we release these episodes or a lot of people listen to them on audio format as well. Like they would, go into the YouTube recording or whatever and listen to them on audio. So I kind of like to make them more like a podcast as well. And I just think that it's good to kind of go into longer explanations of things and use questions as longer teaching points, which is what I do. Let me pull a couple of quick ones up here. Katarina is asking, for butt camp, what are the weights to invest in at the start? I'm just wondering because they're so expensive. So here's what I did, right? I gave some advice today. I'm going to give it to you guys. And I shocked myself with my own brilliance. So prepare to be stunned. Are you ready? By the brilliance of Kim here. So I was doing some of the workouts today and I was telling people that even if you don't have dumbbells, you can use water bottles. And I picked up my water bottle here, right? This big badass water bottle that I bought for $5. $5. That's what it cost me. My husband was like, oh, there's microplastics in there. I was like, I don't care. Just like I don't care about seed oils. I don't fucking care about microplastics. So anyway, I bought this and I said, even if you have one of these, you could use this as a weight. And then I had this great idea. I was like, if you filled this with sand, I don't know how much it would weigh, but if you bought one of these for $5 and you went to the beach and you filled this with sand, I reckon this would be about 22 pounds filled with sand. Okay. And you can row it. You can press it. You can fly it. Like it has an amazing handle on here. So I was like, this is how you get cheap weights. You go to the supermarket, you buy 4 of these, you go to the beach, you fill one half with sand, and you're going to have about a 10-pound dumbbell if you fill it half with sand, or 12 pounds maybe. You fill it all the way, you're going to have a 22-pound dumbbell. You can literally get yourself the most inexpensive set of weights by just going and getting one of these that has a great handle. And there's nothing you can't do with this. You can hip thrust it, you can row it, you can press it, you can fly it, you can rear delt it, you can do anything. And I was thinking, I'm going to actually create a whole program. I'm going to put this up as a hack on YouTube. I'm going to go to the beach and fill this with sand and see what it weighs. And then get people to make these really inexpensive weights at home. Because yes, dumbbells are expensive and the shipping is expensive. So, but to answer your question, really it depends on how strong you are. I do most of my workouts with 3 sets of dumbbells, with a 5 kilo, which is 12 pounds, a 10 kilo, which is 22 pounds, and 15 kilos really, which is, what is 15? I think it's 32.5 pounds. 33 pounds. Yeah. 33 pounds. So that's what I do most of my workouts with, but I do have heavier ones that I'll sometimes use for dumbbell deadlifts and things. And I do have, do I have any lighter ones? I do have 7.5 kilos as well, which is 16 pounds, 17-pound dumbbells. So I have a range, but if you just had to choose one kind of heavier set, like maybe, 33 pounds, 15 kilos, and choose one lighter set that's maybe like 5 kilos or 12 pounds, because that's really all you're going to need. And then grab yourself a couple of sand-filled water bottles and you'll be fine. And really, you don't need, the only thing you need for the glute work is a booty band. You have no idea how hard I can make you work with a booty band. And see, with the lunges and stuff, if you have 1 kilo in your hand, 1 dumbbell in your hand, I was doing Bulgarian split squats today, and I had 1 7.5 kilo dumbbell in my hand, which is what, 17 pounds. And I swear to God, my legs were burning. They were on fire. So it's incredible how hard I can make you work with very light weights. I'm loving all your questions here. Your aesthetics nurse, can we have her contact? Maria's saying, yes, you absolutely can. It's Face Therapy NI. So that's where I go. Face Therapy NI, and you guys are all just chatting. I'm doing Sculpt. Should I be doing cardio as well? Deirdre says. So yes, there is cardio in the app called Blaze, which you can do with any program. But the cardio that I am recording for Butt Camp is going to be so much better, and you're going to absolutely love it. In fact, I've already recorded it all, so we're going to put that in the app later as well. But Blaze cardio in the app, you can do that alongside Sculpt, and you will burn a lot more fat. Yes. CJB phone is saying, perfect, thanks. I've studied my photo and now what I need to do. I know what I need to do. I'm about 20% body fat. You guys are all saying, yep, home improvement stores sell bags of sand. Celeste is saying, if you can't go to the beach. Oh yeah, of course, I forgot. We live in Northern Ireland, there's beaches everywhere, but of course, not everyone can go to the beach. So yes, you can get some home improvement sand. And Maria's saying, I'm actually glad I'm homesick with COVID, best part of my day. Oh, I'm glad that you're here too. I'm sorry you have COVID, but maybe there was something here that you needed to hear that is going to transfer, it's going to transform you and change your life, which is why you got sick, I believe, and stuff like that. Kim, for someone with prolapse, can I do the training or should I check with my physio first? Honestly, I'm not an expert in prolapse, but I honestly can't imagine that you wouldn't. There's not a lot of squatting. There's not a lot of bearing down in this training. A lot of it is working the glutes in the shortened position with hip thrusts and that kind of stuff. And then there's a lot of, working on the transverse plane, a lot of, kickbacks. There are lunges, which are usually fine for prolapse. There's not a lot of squats. And if there was squats and you couldn't do those, you could do an RDL variation instead, because I always give a variation. And lastly, guys, just I recorded a video today for Butt Camp for those of you who are in it, which is like an instructional video for using the different exercises and also how you can get the most out of it if you don't squat or lunge or you have bad knees. So I think you're going to love it. We're uploading it into the playlist for Butt Camp today. So for those of you who have Butt Camp, definitely go to the playlist. It should be there now. It might not be though, but it may be there now. And you can go and watch that. And if your knees are a bit dodgy, it's going to teach you exactly what you can do for dodgy knees and still get a really good workout. Okay. This was the long one today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to the recording. If you're listening to it, loved every minute of chatting to you guys. Thank you for letting me indulge myself and my stories and go off on one. Hopefully you enjoyed them. So good to see same faces here every single week. And for those of you whose faces I can't see, I am just glad that you're here with me and I'm feeling you energetically through the screen. Have an awesome rest of the day wherever you are in the world. And I will see you all next week. Same time, same place. Can see everybody waving. Bye, guys. Love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Take care.